I set up Connected Homeless. This was me a year ago, having a great time at Google. Last year, I went to 15 different countries, 7 different continents. I had an amazing time, met some incredible entrepreneurs and great technology. And constantly, I kept rattling my head thinking, wow, what would happen if we used some of this technology for social good? And it got to a point where actually I needed to turn that what if into something more tangible. Satya Nadella had a great quote the other day upon acquiring GitHub where he said, today every business is a software business. Every business is a digital business. And in fact, when you look at it, the hiring of engineers in non-tech companies is growing 25% quicker than the hiring of engineers in tech companies. And even when you unravel that, actually a lot of those companies that are building technology solutions or SaaS solutions that are going to non-tech companies anyway. But when you look at it, is every charity a digital charity? And the simple answer is no. In fact, 52% of charities lack basic digital skills, so things like communicating and data storage. So we wanted to address an issue in the UK which is quite impacted by this lack of digital adoption, homelessness. So in the UK, last year, over 30,000 single-parent households became homeless. The move from cash to a digital economy has meant that £500 million reduction in donating has occurred. And the average age of a homeless person in the UK is 47, rough sleeper. So we started digging into the issue. We started talking to homeless people. We started talking to charities. And 3 key themes emerged. One, that technology is this great enabler. But also, if you're on the other end of it, it's probably the quickest thing to accelerate isolation. Second thing is that companies seem to do things in a siloed way. So Google would have their own homeless initiative. Barclays would have their own homeless initiative. O2 would have their own homeless initiative. And we wondered, what would happen if all corporates worked together to solve a social issue? The third issue was this myth that homeless people don't know how to use technology or don't have technology, whereas in actual fact, 70% of homeless people have a phone. And this is quite normal. If you think about going from a situation of vulnerability into straight into that, you leave everything else behind, but you keep your phone with you as your enabler. So with a bit of funding from Telefonica, we built Connected Homeless. So basically what this allows you to do is we give everyone an app, a unique ID number, and a phone if they don't have one, a low-end Alcatel £20 phone. And from there, they can find local food banks, they can find accommodation and live availabilities. We realized a lot of people wanted to hire homeless people, let's say factory owners, et cetera, but they weren't going to go around rounding them up. So we work with them to make sure that they have employment opportunities once we match their skills to what they're looking for. And we crowdsource funding from government, charities, and the public sector, and we distribute these to needs that most impact homeless people. So for instance, a big problem for homeless women is what happens when they're menstrual cycle. A lot of them will go to a public toilet. So with that funds, we can work with people like P&G who won't always in Tampax, and we can say, hey, we've got 2,000 women on our platform. Can we have 2,000 Tampaxes from you at cost price? And we acquire that, and then we distribute that in the form of a digital voucher. So you can walk into a store, show the voucher, and walk out. Or similarly, hey, it's dropped below 2 degrees today. Make sure you keep yourself warm. Head to Costa Coffee and get a free tea. We also built a events platform on there too. So a company like Google could run an event called The Importance of Homelessness, and they could find their way to it. But more importantly, a barber who closes every day at 5 o'clock could close at 7 o'clock and say they've got 10 slots for homeless haircuts, so they can navigate the way to it and go and get help. Big problem was donating. So a lot of people, if someone says, hey, can I get £2 for a bus? They say, no way, you're going to buy drugs, alcohol, cigarettes. And this happens quite frequently. So basically, we built a donor app where you can say, hey, what's your ID number? They could say 1TT, you enter 1TT into your app, hit donate. That enters into their wallet as a digital coin, which basically we turn from cash into a coin that they can only spend in certain places on certain items. And with that, we also have an I Have a button. So if you have a phone that you want to donate, you can click I Have a, you can click the phone, give a donation, and one of our volunteers will come and collect that from you and distribute it to the homeless people who don't have the phone. We also really were part tech company, part charity. So we spend a lot of time understanding this issue of donations, basically. A lot of charities spend a lot of their time donating. And we realized a lot of people that were downloading the Homeless app are quite socially conscious demographic that brands want to get in front of. So we built a watch an ad feature, which basically allows socially conscious brands to put on their ads in there. Someone can go in and watch it, and it gives us a donation. So if Subway were launching a new organic sandwich, for instance, that has 0 footprint throughout the whole chain, they could put that on there, and it helps us fund the charity and do more for the homeless people. And I really am very enthused about this idea because it only gets better with technology. The data we can collect, the mapping we can do, the infrastructure that gets built around us only helps us. So for instance, BT have launched InLink, which basically gives free internet and free charging across the streets in the UK. Vodafone have charging in shopping malls and things like Babylon. What if we could actually do live GP services for homeless people via these phones? So we're super enthused about it. I just want to leave you with one quote. So it's from Al Gore, and it's, "I'm convinced our world is now in the early stages of a sustainability revolution that has the magnitude of the Industrial Revolution, but the speed of the digital revolution." And I encourage you all to get involved. Thank you.